The an FBI agent who has criticized the FBI was arrested on charges of sharing confidential information and black bagged, basically, at an airport. It's kind of crazy. This is a really small story. This is from yesterday. Just a raw AP junket release, I guess, just popped out there. Jagger Hoover Building. I don't have a byline, but it just says New York. An FBI agent who has previously criticized the Bureau was arrested this week on charges of illegally disclosing classified information, according to court records filed Tuesday. Jonathan Buma, who has worked for the FBI for 15 years, allegedly printed copies of confidential FBI documents and messages and later shared the material with associates as part of a draft of a book he was writing on his time in the Bureau. Thank you, Uncle Iroll, for the $9.89. I'm in VOD gang right now, but thanks for the stream. If you're still alive, I am. I'm down here. We see you. We see you in the future. Hello from the future. He was arrested Monday at a departure gate at John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York as he was waiting to board an international flight, court records said. An attorney representing Buma did not immediately return an emailed request for comment. Buma has raised issues with how the FBI was handling certain investigations through statements to news media, various government agencies, and Congress, according to the filing. And then, nothing. This is a rarity for an AP story. So this is kind of like the reason I'm bringing this up. This is, if somebody send this to Flesh Simulator, clip it and send it to Flesh Simulator. There is clearly, in my opinion, something that's supposed to follow that. Does it not give you that vibe? On the other stories, usually you have somebody's byline, but it doesn't say that what court, right? Court records filed Tuesday. Doesn't say. Attorney representing Buma did not immediately return an email request for comment, but it didn't say what attorney. And then you get down here, he raised issues through various statements to news media, various government agencies, and Congress, according to the filing. Usually AP will link to all of their own stories, at least, if they've made this, but it doesn't say what statements to who, or where, or when, or what. And then there's just this vibe of empty underneath the story. And isn't that a crazy story to run? It actually doesn't have any sources. I don't know if you realize this. This story is unsourced. It feels like it has sources because it says according to. But let's look at it again. Can I take you guys back up to the top of the page now that you're suspicious? You're like, oh, I'm waking back up? Yes, you are. FBI agent who has criticized the Bureau arrested on charges of sharing confidential information. We have the building. The only thing we have is this dude's name. An FBI agent who has previously criticized the Bureau was arrested this week on charges of illegally disclosing classified information, according to court records filed Tuesday. In what court? What records? Do you know what I mean? Because you can't just say in court unless somebody's like kind of like generally in a courtroom. You say what court? Like what was it, like the federal district fucking circuit, this, that? Like no, it was just court records. Jonathan Buma, who has worked for the FBI for 15 years, allegedly printed copies of confidential FBI documents and messages and later shared the material with associates as part of a draft of a book he was writing on his time in the Bureau. Okay. He was arrested Monday at a departure gate at John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York as he was waiting to board an international flight, court records said, yet again. An attorney representing Buma did not immediately return an emailed request for comment. What's the guy's name? What attorney? Do you know what I mean? Like a private attorney? A public defender? Like who? Isn't this crazy? This is so rare. I haven't seen a lot from the fucking AP that was like this. Buma has raised issues with how the FBI was handling certain investigations through statements to news media. What outlets? Who? Various government agencies. Which ones? His? Other ones? And Congress. When? What the fuck? According to the filing. But they don't link the filing or any of the other statements. It's just so strange. I could imagine this guy being at the airport reading this AP story on his phone about himself. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a very very strange energy around this news story. It's crazy. Because, like, sometimes you write off of press releases, right? I was actually talking about that today. Fucking dipshit was fucking looking at me. Just President Sunday clearly doesn't read newspapers. In the news industry, sometimes you have to write off a press release, right? You just have to because you don't get anything else. And it's blotter shit. It's probably as true as it could ever be. You get sent fucking blotter stuff. You do releases. Hey, what happened? Check the release. We got 15, 20 fucking news agencies calling us about it. That's all that we're saying right now. Okay. And that's literally all you'll be able to find out for that day. So you run the release. How do you run the release? You rewrite it. But you say what it is. You say a release from the department about the thing. All that kind of deal. We'll continue down Google for a second, but I just really want to point out the story first. So if you get a press release, that's what it is. If you get court documents, you can just run off court documents. You don't need secondary sources or facts for basically what you call like blotter stories or news bites. What the hell are those called? They're short stories that are under like 2 paragraphs long. They're just basically like updates and stuff. You can one single source of those essentially, because usually the source is actually like authoritative, and usually it's shit that doesn't matter. So you'll get like press releases for like, dipshit fucking mayor is going to give a speech this weekend to the Eagles Kiwanis about his needing money for the park project. You're not going to talk to everybody about that, right? Unless you're going to do a whole story about it for a reason. It's going to be like an update. It's like this big. Okay, yeah, rerun the press release. Fucking bullshit. Community announcements, community notes, Half the time, the fucking releases have tons of shit in them already. They're actually multiply sourced and have 15 fucking things. It's a story that they're giving you to run as a fucking newspaper note. Pain in the ass. I fucking hate writing them. But you still put a bunch of other stuff in. You say who gave you the release at least, the department. But this is just like completely fucking empty. It's so nuts that happened that way. I'm like shocked. Reuters says something with more info. I'll check that out in a second. Y'all catch the flesh simulator video about Mahmoud Khalil? A bunch of video comments are Nazis being like, damn, I thought you were cool, but you're not racist enough. Yeah, he's like always shocked by that. He's like, yeah, I'm not a Trumper. You would actually find that out. He talked about Pizzagate, and people were like, hey, Nazism? And he's like, no, not the guy. Don't know if you noticed the hairline. I'm really not on your side. I can do mathematics. Kawani's mentioned based. I know, right? So I don't know. It's crazy that the story looks like this. I don't know if it was a mistake on their part, but Jonathan Booma. Let's see. Yeah, I guess maybe they got trimmed down. So if we add a little bit more, ABC, right? We're going to go outside my normal source load. New York Post, we'll hold off on that. ABC News, FBI agent who accused, completely different kind of vibe. FBI agent who accused Trump administration of political bias charged with unlawful disclosures. Hey. No, I was like, what the fuck? What happened there? That's a completely different issue, isn't it? It's like kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like, yes. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, that doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, yes. So they blackbagged him at an international airport. FBI agent who was accused of the Bureau of Political Bias during President Trump's first administration was arrested Monday in New York on charges related to the alleged unauthorized disclosure of confidential information, according to court documents filed Tuesday. No. Still need to know what court. 15-year veteran of the Bureau allegedly shared text messages, internal documents, other sensitive information with associates, including as part of a prospective book he began writing about his career as an FBI agent. Beginning in October 23rd, Booma printed approximately 130 files from the FBI's internal network, some of which were clearly marked with warnings that made clear that the information was to be protected, according to charging documents. Booma also printed 9 text file documents which contained text that had been copied and pasted from reports that were marked in such a way that made clear the information must be protected, the charging document said, with 2 periods. This has been edited and you can see it. Holy fuck. Okay, rabbit hole, folks. Hello over there, everybody. I love Donald Trump. I do a Donald Trump impression. MAGA. I love MAGA. I love Elon Musk. He's the best guy ever. I think that Elon Musk is getting a raw deal. He's a very good guy. I love Elon Musk. I love Elon Musk. That's crazy. That's what that double period is. Somebody deleted something or changed this and hit period without thinking. And that's in an ABC news story. That's a big 3 news reporter story. The raw one. What? I didn't even have this one up. What? The Flesh Simulator, help me. I watched too many fucking Flesh Simulator videos in a row, and now I'm about to lose the front part of my hair and go crazy. I need to buy tweeters from Walmart. In the ensuing weeks, Bouma allegedly shared a draft of a book he had written about his career at the FBI with associates over email. See, this is different now. The draft allegedly included details about the FBI's investigations into a foreign country's weapons of mass destruction program. 15 years. 2010. Fuck. Was it Iran? Was he looking into Iran? While the investigation into Bouma appears to have begun during the Biden administration, with several news outlets reporting on an FBI raid on his home in late 2023, Bouma has been a vocal critic of how the first Trump admin handled classified information that Trump's former personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, was the target of a Russian influence operation. What? Federal agents arrested Bouma on Monday as he was about to board an outbound international flight, the documents show. Where? Tell me where. It should be in the document. Where was he going? He knows. The ticket holder knew. The fucking airport knows. The plane knows. Everyone that was getting ready to get on that plane knows. Where was he heading? Where was he going? Tell me where he was going. He appeared in Brooklyn federal court. Well, we finally got here, but we're really far down before we mentioned where he is now. Now we know he's in Brooklyn, at the Brooklyn federal court. Okay, for a preliminary hearing on Tuesday, and was released from detention. He has not entered a plea, and his attorney did not immediately respond to a request for comment from ABC News. Well, who is his attorney? Why do we not have the attorney's name? Why do we not have his attorney's name? That's kind of a big thing. You usually do. We named Donald Trump's old attorney in this statement, by the way. We talked about Rudy Giuliani, so why don't we have this guy's... Why do we not have this guy's fucking attorney's name? It should be on the documents. There's no reason to not include that guy. You're not doxing him. He's his representation. So like if you want to ask, hey, did ABC even call you? That's who you would ask. How do we know he even got out? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? It's very strange. This is a weird feeling story. Do you remember how much information was available in the fucking North Dakota one? Where we were like, oh, okay, this happened, that happened. Here's the history. Here's all the details. Here's all these stories, all those links. Remember all the links in that story? And then we look at this one. I thought just the first one enough was like, oh, that's odd. How strange. And then we get to this one and it's like, what? What's up, buddy? He has not entered a plea, and his attorney did not immediately respond to a request for a comment from ABC News. The charges were filed in the Central District of California. What? Hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, what? I'm sorry. My bad. Confused. He appeared in Brooklyn federal court for a preliminary hearing on Tuesday and was released from detention. The charges were filed in the Central District of California. Two places where the FBI headquarters are not. So, why are we in so many places? Why didn't we mention that in the AP story? How are we... If we went from one story from the Associated Press with no courts given to 2 courts in the next one. Also, how do you know he was at the other one? He appeared in Brooklyn federal court for a preliminary hearing on Tuesday and was released from detention. How do we know that? I know you didn't talk to his attorney, and the charges were filed in the Central District of California. Which document says what? How do you know that? Do you know what I mean? Like, think back. What did we learn so far? How do we know that? How the fuck? The charging document said, note, remember? I'm like, charging documents from what court? And then we see 2 periods. Because somebody either hit period at the end of a sentence, which is a thing that's possible. It's completely possible to happen in a news story. You know, for ABC News, everybody makes mistakes, but usually when you have a period there, it's because somebody changed something at the end. So now we're wondering if the question I have is about which charging documents from which place where they were filed. Is it the ones in California? Which court? Because then I could go look them up. But if I don't know which court, it's going to be just a little bit harder. And isn't that just odd? Isn't that just a strange thing? How do you not know the attorney's name? Like, why did we not share that? That is public as fuck information. A representative of somebody in the court of law for a criminal charge is as about as public information as it gets. It's antithetical to doxing. It's on the fucking document. That's strange, isn't it? That's fucking weird. I don't know. Dude, I'm glad I clicked on this link this morning. He appeared in Brooklyn federal court. How do you know? And was released from detention. How do you know? Where did you get that information from? You could say the documents that he got arrested on the outbound flight, but did you look this up on the blotter? Did you call the penitentiary? Did a penitentiary spokesman say that, or a jail spokesperson say that? Prison spokesman or whatever. Holding guy? Did you go down to the Tombs? Isn't that the Tombs, you fucking weirdos in New York? Is that a different borough? Like, did you go down there and talk to him? Why didn't you put that in there? What the fuck? You go a little bit down there further. Charges filed in California. What? Is he not a flight risk anymore? You just let him walk right out the building. So we don't know who his if this guy shows up depressed somewhere for the last time, hey, you didn't hear it here first. Someone else figured this out, and I stole that from them. This dude sounds like a real depressed guy. Do you understand what I'm saying? This guy sounds like he might have a serious depression problem. An almost undiagnosed and unexpected depression problem. What with him having charges filed in California, having just tried to get on an international flight and leave the country, and then just being released. Out of the prison in Brooklyn. They just did that thing they do right when you are about to board an international flight and leave the country. They just let you right back outside of the prison so that you can eventually go to California for where the charges are filed for your job that comes out of Washington, D.C. I don't know what the fuck. This is very strange. Thank you for telling me to even look it up, Kevin, because I'm sussed out, bro. Okay, I recommend the Reuters because they mentioned he has a public defender. Let's see what else they have. Okay, I'll hop over to it. He's not entered a plea, and his attorney denied immediately. Charges were filed. Booma's former attorney denied any wrongdoing when the raid on Booma's home was reported in late 2023. Wait, what? Look, we get that nice big white again. This happens sometimes. There's web pages with gigantic white blots underneath them. This happens because sometimes you don't have anything to go there. No advertisements or anything. You don't have anything to go there. So sometimes you just have giant white voids. Can I say how weird? This is the end of the story. All the sponsored content is gone. Is this just maybe it's my ad blocker? That might be it. Okay, that would be less weird, but still. It just ends. Booma's former attorney denied any wrongdoing when the raid on Booma's home was reported in late 2023, and then just done. Related topics, Trump administration. These must be all the tracker things. Isn't that a strange way to answer it? Isn't that a strange thing to say at the end of a story? What in the fuck? Is that not odd? Is that not... Look, some things transcend left-right political boundaries. If you're a righty watching this, and you want to go ahead and share it in your own circles, because you too are maybe just a little bit of a concerned citizen about a potentially depressed person having to transfer their body somehow between New York and California, please let me know. I want to look into one more story at least. But that was there's a strange way to end a story. That's a strange way to write one and a strange way to end one. He has not entered a plea, and his attorney did not immediately respond to a request for comment from ABC News. The charges were filed in the Central District of California. Booma's former attorney denied any wrongdoing when the raid on Booma's home was reported in late 2023. Like, that that Booma did any wrongdoing or that the attorney did any wrongdoing? Because it sounds like you're saying the attorney said he's the former attorney denied doing anything wrong. What in the... Who is that? Who is that? Why don't you tell me his name? Why is there a former attorney from just 2 years ago that's been covering this thing, and what happened to him? And what's his or her name? Who are they? Why did we stick that in there? That's a strange thing to add. What in the absolute fuck? Okay, just, all right, let's see. We got the New York Post. Let's see, Reuters. Jonathan Booma. Today. Newsmax, Yahoo. Jonathan Booma is on the Marshall Project. The fuck? Well, that's... Okay, so it's just... All right. Well, that's strange. I'm not too familiar with the Marshall Project, but this is like the 10th thing that came up going down is actually just themarshallproject.org, and then a whole bunch of intentionally collected records for this guy. Like they might go away or something? I don't know. This is bizarre. Finally, yeah, and I think this one is actually written by two people, Lucian Brueggemann and Aaron Katersky. The AP had nobody in the byline, and this one's by Jack Queen. You're a real guy, right? And not just somebody with a name of a fucking Bond villain. All right, thank God, right? Okay, Jack Queen seems to be doing actual fucking stuff. This is definitely not somebody whose name is just 2 cards from a cards deck. That would be insanity. And not a thing that actually happened. FBI agent who criticized Trump charged with sharing documents, okay? March 19th, Reuters. An FBI agent who accused the Bureau of political bias during Donald Trump's first presidential term was arrested this week at a New York airport and charged with illegally disclosing confidential documents. Court filing show. Yet again, a court filing, 15 years, 130 files. This is the exact same stuff from the last one. The ABC might be based on this reporting from Reuters. Boom was arraigned in Brooklyn Federal Court on Tuesday and released on a $100,000 bond. This is more information. The court records show. Court records did not indicate whether Booma entered a plea. What? The case was transferred to California where the charges were filed. Okay, because it's federal, that can happen. All right, that's a little bit out of my fucking pay grade than normal. But we have more info here. Like, it's crazy different amount of information. Do you know what I mean? And also, this is... Let me see, hold on. Which is the one that I said was suspicious? Booma also printed. That's the one I've got to keep an eye out for. Associated Booker's writing about his career. Booma was arraigned. Booma's public defender, who represented him only for the arraignment, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. No other counsel information for Booma was available. This is different, right? Okay. Court records did not indicate whether Booma entered a plea. Trump has vowed to go after Justice Department officials he is accused of unfairly targeting him, though. Trump appointed FBI Director Kash Patel told lawmakers he would protect Bureau staff against political retribution. Advertisement, we go down. This one actually has a bunch more stuff. Booma, who has publicly criticized the first Trump administration's handling of classified information. This fucking ABC article is edited. I think this ABC article was trimmed. I think the AP article might have been trimmed too. Do you see how much more information is in the other ones? Either those guys just robbed the Reuters article, which is possible, or they might have been edited. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would be fucking bonkers. I don't know. Maybe brought to you by AI. Not impossible, but like highly psychotically unethical and also just very strange feeling. Let's see. Buma, who's publicly criticized the first Trump admin's handling of classified info related to the purported Russian influence operations, knew the information he took from the FBI was protected and that he was not authorized to share it, according to the filing. Excerpts of a book draft Buma shared with various individuals. Now it was associates, now in quotes. Remember, it was associates. I think it was coworkers in quotes. What in the fuck is going on here? Associates here, right? Associates in quotes here. Various individuals in quotes here. Are they all choosing? Was it like various individuals and associates, and they're just kind of picking and choosing which one they want to say, or what? Like, what in the fuck is happening here? This is the strangest. This is actually fucking freaking me out. This is actually like weird. Like, okay, what the fuck? It could just be, I don't know, some sort of grok error, but that'd be nuts over multiple places. And they're stealing it, but like, what the fuck? Did they get handed a line? How weird. I don't know. It's just so weird. What the fuck? Various information related to investigations into an unnamed foreign country's weapons of mass destruction program, according to the filing. This one's unnamed. Buma also screenshotted messages with a confidential source, and they later appeared in a news article, the filing said. Reporting by Jack Queen in New York, editing by Tom Hogue. That's a weird way to put it there, because we just end. We're done now. They later appeared in a news article, and then we're done. Jack Queen is a legal correspondent specializing in politically charged cases. But this one's done now. It felt like there's a bunch more stuff. Our standards right here. The trust principles. And then this one had this other stuff, right? Federal agents arrested Buma on Monday, but a former attorney denied any wrongdoing. He's not entered a plea. This one says he has not entered a plea, and his attorney did not immediately find. So the other one said it wasn't clear if he entered a plea. The charges were filed in the Central District of California. This one says they were filed here and then moved to California. So like, how can so many people be making the same sort of statements but all slightly wrong? Like, you can't have one and then have the other. So like, one of them has to be correct and one of them has to be not. Do you know what I mean? And then like, I don't know. Let me just click another. Let me click two more Reuters. I'll go to random Reuters articles because I don't know if that's typical. Let's see, just literally the first two tabs. Because maybe they all have that editing guy at the bottom, right? Okay, yeah. So maybe they always have this here. Whew. Okay. Because I was like, dude, did he sneak that in there? I'd be like, they gashed me up there. Guy at Falconbridge and Mark Trevelyan. I think I know a Mark Trevelyan. This is odd. So like that felt weird. And then I think I've heard of the Marshall Project, but I've never. Is the Marshall Project the one that tries to get people from like off death row, right? Since 2014, which is like the year he started there almost, right? No, I'm crazy. Marshall Project has been curating some of the best criminal justice reporting from around the web. In these records, you'll find the most recent and most authoritative articles on the topics, people, and the events. Like it's kind of neat that this Jonathan Buma guy has his own thing all of a sudden. Department of Justice, New York FBI indictment, criticism of police. Collection of links. So they don't have anything. Oh, so this guy's empty. But he has, okay, so those are just like tags, related records. That's a strange thing to come up. So, okay, so maybe this is like an AI thing, but it's called the Marshall Project, right? And I'm a little crazy here. It says updated at 5:26 a.m. today. So at 5:26 a.m. today, this article is updated. Now, it might be that they just created it, but it seems to be that there's supposed to be a curated collection of links for one Jonathan Buma, and there's a recently added clicker and a popular clicker here, right? But it's actually empty. So like these are just tags. So they actually don't go into anything. They're just tags for the site. And this is popular record. So maybe it was just created today at 5:26 a.m., but it says it was updated. Sometimes things do say that when they're updated. Well, that's interesting. That's strange and interesting. There's no proof of anything. What with there not being proof of anything? But that's a strange thing to happen. Isn't it? Am I insane? That's hello. I've searched names a number of times on this fucking program for different things, and this hasn't popped up like this before. It was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth link down. One India gets a whistleblower. Back in November 14th, we get to Newsweek. Newsweek has the most recent thing on him for the stuff that happened before this. Yahoo, more results. MSN, Deccan Herald. A bunch of these guys are just resharing the same things. Like, okay, so like, this is from Newsweek, not necessarily the best fucking paper of note, but like, this is from 2023, right? Pre-Doge, we'll just say it like that. So, in this one, federal authorities have reportedly raided the home of an FBI agent who claimed that Rudy Giuliani might have been compromised by Russian intelligence agents while working for former President Donald Trump. You see all the fucking articles and like the links and stuff? Isn't this more normal? This is by Isla Slisko. Search warrant indicates that the Southern California home of FBI Special Agent Jonathan Buma was raided on Monday over suspicions that Buma may have violated federal laws regarding classified materials, according to a report published Tuesday by Mother Jones. Buma's attorney, Scott Horton. See, Buma's attorney, Scott Horton. We know the attorney's name in an older article. What the fuck is happening? Bro, what the fuck? Maybe it's still in the developing story. We should have everything. You shouldn't have to develop it too much. If you have the court documents, you can just run off the court documents. You can publish the court documents. You throw the whole thing out there. It's paper. You should fucking but it's just it poofed. They didn't publish. Nobody published the documents. Nobody ran up a PDF. That's like standard procedure these days. You know what I mean? Especially if you don't have anything else. Like, maybe some of the advertisements not bringing stuff up, but I mean, we get pictures, right? Like, all of this stuff is in this. In a letter to Senate Judiciary Committee in July, this is of 2023, Buma claimed that Giuliani may have been used by Russian intelligence as part of an attempt to aid Trump by discrediting President Joe Biden. Contrary to popular conservative narratives about the FBI being biased against Trump, Buma claimed that his investigation into Giuliani was scuttled by the FBI, while figures within the Bureau were pushing to investigate the current president and his son, Hunter Biden. Newsweek reached out for comment to the FBI via email on Tuesday. Buma claimed in his letter to the Senate committee that he has been targeted with retaliation by unknown people within the FBI in the form of being assigned to surveillance missions unrelated to his area of expertise, after uncovering the alleged relationship between Giuliani and Russian intelligence. I do not fully understand why I've been singled out for this treatment, nor who exactly is driving it, Buma wrote. But my strong suspicion is that one or more of my sources provided truthful, accurate information that is harmful to a person or persons that higher-ups in the Bureau are trying to shield. Buma also... Look out! All this information is still available, right? Other people ran this. It was a Mother Jones story, I guess, forever ago. You can call back. You can say, like, more information about this, but we didn't have any of that info. It's not... developing, yes. But, like, developing after... This is from 2023. This is fucking... year and a half, 2 years old information. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is old hat. Already written down so you can reference it. Boom also claimed that he's offered a payment of $14,000 to drop his whistleblower claims in February after having filed an equal opportunity employment complaint over his reassignment months earlier. Additionally, Buma, who says he uncovered information regarding Hunter Biden and Ukrainian energy company BURISMA. He's a BURISMA guy? Oh, no! Isn't that the thing? That's the BURISMA, right? That's a big... Wait, what? BURISMA conspiracy. Biden-Ukrainian Ukraine conspiracy theory. The Biden-Ukraine conspiracy theory is a series of false allegations that Joe Biden, while he was vice president of the United States, improperly withheld a loan guarantee and took a bribe to pressure Ukraine into firing Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin to prevent the corruption investigation of Ukrainian gas company Burisma and to protect his son Hunter Biden, who is on the Burisma board. Okay. So we didn't bring up. Okay. Additionally, he says he uncovered information regarding Hunter Biden, Ukrainian energy company Burisma, alongside Giuliani claim, reportedly offered to testify as a whistleblower at the Republican-led House hearings on the supposed weaponization of the federal government. Buma's overture to the House Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan was ignored in April, possibly due to his claim about the FBI push to investigate the Bidens, countering the Republican claim that the Bureau had a laser focus on targeting Trump, according to the New Yorker. Well, that's crazy. So the guy that was going to write a book about Burisma, the Burisma Hunter Biden thing, and that's the thing that, I didn't even care about that. I don't even know that much about that conspiracy, but like conspiracy heads, are you all right? Are you out there? They blackbagged the Burisma conspiracy FBI whistleblower dude. I think this is like right before they said that. I think Trump was saying like a day or so ago that they were going to vacate Joe Biden's pardons or threatening to, but then like that kind of went away. So, what? This is not a segment I intended to do. Am I the only person talking about this? So like the guy that was taking documents about WMD programs and stuff and was going to write a book is also happens to be the dude that says he has the Burisma information and wanted to testify during those hearings. And they eventually fucking charged Hunter Biden with a bunch of shit. And he got that weird fucking pardon from his dad. Remember the Hunter Biden super pardon? And everyone's like, yeah, Joe Biden needs to go die now because he's betrayed all of his things. That's a connection. That's strange. And then all of the articles that are being come up, one was clearly had the little double periods at the end, like someone had deleted something from it. And then that quote is not actually, doesn't show up in the other articles. And then all of the articles have slightly different information. And none of them reference any of this. What? I don't know where to go with this. That's very bizarre, right? This is not a bit. I just thought like it was crazy that they blackbagged a guy at a fucking airport. I swear to God. I was like, oh, the AP. I'm clicking through it to get articles about North Dakota. I almost didn't read this because I was almost out of time. And I thought I had no time, so I was going to sneak it in the end. And I was like, wow, that's crazy that this AP article has almost nothing and there's like big white voids there. That's nuts. Maybe it's just my ads. And then someone said, hey, why don't you check one of the other articles? And I was like, okay. And then the other article is just as weird. And then the next article is also just as fucking strange. And then we have the Marshall Project thing that seems to have been edited to have nothing in it, which is crazy because if it's a collection of links, then there's links. There's links to stuff. You can link to it and then they'll be there. That if that's what it's for, you just Control-C, Control-V. And then I go and I look in the past, like, why? Well, I don't know. Who is this guy? And then we look who it is, and he's the guy from Burisma. He's the guy that wanted to testify about the Joe Biden bribery scandal with Ukraine. And I don't know if that's bullshit or not, but it's, well, there's a lot of odd coincidences. Guy from California, right? I guess he's working at the California place because he lives there, and that's where he was raided, was in New York, boarding an international flight in New York. Which, I don't know if you know this, but Los Angeles has its own stuff. You can go out of California. So he was in New York for a reason. So this guy was in New York and got black bagged at the international airport, getting ready to get on a plane. We're not going to say where. Black bagged, arrested. We're not going to say who the public defender is. We don't know the public defender. For a one-time public defender, he was there, and then they did some stuff, and there was no pleas given. Yes, guilty or not, because, you wouldn't do that anyway, by the way, because you just got arrested. You got to be, when you're charged, you got to be indicted for pleas and stuff. That's like the beginning of the trial. So, he was charged and released into New York City as a person who was just arrested as a literal flight risk with sensitive information. You're just out on your own recognizance in New York City right now. Anything's possible. Do you know what I mean? Okay. But if you guys are afraid he's going to flee the country with sensitive information, some of it's in his head. I know how the FBI's gotten sensitive information out of people's heads real quick before. Instantaneously, as a matter of fact. But I don't know. This is conspiracy shit. That's fucking nuts. Because one said that he said something about Giuliani was used by Russian intelligence, but we didn't get all of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Violated federal laws regarding classified materials. Boomer's attorney Scott Horton. Horton reportedly said that agents confiscated computers and other items at Boomer's home, but found no classified materials. Wait. One of the other stories I think said that they did. I don't know. I'll have to go look at it again. I'm running late. Maybe I'll check this at some other point, or maybe I should just forget that I was reading it. Boomer's attorney Scott Horton told the outlet that his client was presented with a search warrant at the FBI's field office in Orange County. Horton reportedly said that agents confiscated computers and other items at Boomer's home, but found no classified materials, discovering only his unclassified whistleblower complaint. The attorney claimed that the raid was designed to be in retaliation for the whistleblower complaints and amounted to very heavy harassment by the Bureau. And the other stories said that basically associates or other individuals had said they'd received materials from him, but they already searched him once and he didn't have them. So they're saying that he has taken all this stuff and that basically other people have said that he hasn't. So he's already gotten cracked for one whistleblower complaint on his side of the story, which, I don't know. I'll listen to him because the other side's the FBI. They'll say what they want when they want to say it. So one side of it has his side of the complaint. They didn't find anything. We know he didn't get arrested or charged because it's very serious. Dissemination of top secret materials is big money. You're definitely not going to be working for the FBI anymore. But he was fine. So they did a search and he's okay. And then a year and a half later-ish, whatever, he gets arrested on a flight out of New York City, charged in Brooklyn, with the charges moved to California. And this might be outside of my pay grade, and I don't know, but the charges moved to California and then just gets to walk out of the front door. Based on, according to court documents, which no one has fucking shown, maybe they will in the next couple days or something, other people have basically said, other associates have said, or something like that, at least, that he took screenshots and shared text messages and copies of documents for a book he was writing. This is this is nuts. I'll tell you what, I am pretty much done with it for the day. I don't know where to go from here. Otherwise, I'm going to rabbit hole and I'm fucking hungry. So maybe I'll look it up later. But the BURISMA whistleblower was black bagged at an international airport, taken to a courthouse, charged for a crime where the charges were transferred to California, and then he walked out the front door. So, all right. That's it for me. I'm good. What a weird story to hear. How very strange. bro. LAX sucks though. Well, you have to drive through basically, you have to go past every international airport in America. CVG, Chicago's like O'Hare, right? All of those to get. There's a lot of international airports on the way. I don't know. Maybe he was getting a connecting flight from California, but it doesn't sound like that. You know what I mean? Maybe he was just getting ready to board. Kind of crazy they caught him at the last second in a different state, as opposed to because if you have a lawyer for something, your lawyer's probably going to be in the same state that you are. So if he's taking an international flight somewhere, and he's not getting arrested near where his lawyer is, and all of a sudden he just has an unnamed public defender in a courthouse in New York. Released on $100,000 bond. That's not too bad. Did he pay the bond, or did he get a bail bondsman? I wonder. He's out already. Out on bond. What the fuck, bro? Hope he's not feeling sad. Hope he's having a good day. Hope he makes it back to California safe and sound. I'm sure that's coming soon. Fuck me. I guess maybe I'll look into this on Monday if you guys check it out. So, okay. Yeah. Probably watched too much fucking Flesh Simulator. Simulation ended. God damn. That was a wild turn. Huh. There's one more over here, the Deccan Herald. This is the exact same as the Reuters story. It is just the Reuters story redone. Yeah, the filing says excerpts of a book Booma shared with various individuals. So various individuals have access to a book he shared, according to the documents, which constitutes the entirety of the evidence for the charges. Oh, fuck, bro. I like also that Booma also screenshotted messages with a confidential source, and they later appeared in a news article, the filing said. What is that? Crazy it doesn't say what article. Crazy nobody got to ask Booma what article, you know what I mean? Like, just to say, oh no, just an article. We just saw, what? A screenshotted message with a confidential source somewhere. Oh, Jesus, in the last second. Thank you. Treat for the money and the doggo. Okay, yes, we will do treats. We'll do treats for these little bubs. I'm still shocked. That's a weird one. I gotta run this one out, I guess. Fuck me, bro. I'm so shook right now. I'm actually like a little thrown. I almost fucked up here. I've got to open these back up so that I can, okay, I gotta collect all these links. Sorry, I will do that in just a second. So that I can show what I used, because I want people not to be able to double click it. And then maybe everything's gonna get updated and it will be completely normal. And so, I was just weird that I even saw anything, because it was strange, right? What the fuck, bro? So I'll just put those down there. Yeah, I'm probably gonna want to run this one now. This video is probably gonna get run out real quick, because that is crazy. Okay, how about you? One more real quick, sorry. From the New York Post says that Jonathan Booma worked in counter intel. Slap of charges the following day, alleging he printed confidential information from the FBI and then shared the trove with associates in 2023. They actually quoted the affidavit. The book draft contained information that Bouma obtained through his position as an FBI special agent that relates to FBI's efforts and investigations into a foreign country's weapons of mass destruction program. Part of the affidavit filed Tuesday claims. Booma's prospective book was focused on his career as an FBI agent, including his work as a whistleblower. Working in the California field office. This says where he worked too. Like, dude, the New York Post has way more information than all of the major outlets that people are going to be picking up and sharing. So like, people are going to be sharing the incomplete stories. Like Reuters and AP licensed that, and then New York Post actually fucking went there and got it. Once he obtained the materials, he put in for leave in October 2023. Bouma spoke out against the FBI before that, filing a whistleblower complaint in 2022 that alleged numerous acts of intelligence suppression of his reporting tied to foreign intelligence. What the fuck? Okay, I'll just cover this real quick. I'm so sorry. One thing has more info. This is like Tyler Newsfiend. Just in case, there's a bunch of random periods here later on. The book draft contained information. Okay, we read that. Booma's prospective book. The 15-year FBI veteran who worked out of a California field office printed about 130 files from the agency's internal network, including some marked protected, as well as other documents that were also protected, according to the court documents. Once he obtained the materials, he put in for leave in October 2023. Bouma spoke out against the FBI. We heard this before. Complaint was also claimed he's being retaliated against for airing his accusations. Bouma told Business Insider, we have the other fucking newspaper. The other ones didn't have it. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We're back in it, kids. September 2023, that 4 years earlier, when he presented information to a supervisor at the LA field office about potential criminal actions between former Joe Biden's son, Hunter, and the Ukrainian energy company on whose board he sat, Burisma, his boss was adamant about moving that case along. But when he said he tried to claim in the same meeting that former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani might have been compromised in a Russian counter-influence operation, the superior shut him down immediately. The next month, Booma's home was raided over suspicion that he mishandled classified information with some privileged information seized, according to a reporting at the time. The other thing said that there was nothing seized. This one says that this, according to reporting at the time, who knows? Maybe fucking they're making shit up? I don't know. A lawyer representing Bouma after the raid, Scott Horton, claimed to Business Insider at the time that Horton said that no classified information was found. So this must be the lawyer from the other thing. We said at the time the lawyer said he had done nothing wrong. Why are all those clipped? Bouma was released on $100K bail during a hearing in Brooklyn federal court. His case will be handled in California federal court. A lawyer who represented Bouma in court this week did not immediately return a request for comment. By Joe Marino and Kyle Schnitzer. So a lawyer who represented him didn't return a comment. So the other people said it was a public defender, but public defenders are a type of lawyer. Public defenders. But if it's just a lawyer, it could be a FBI lawyer, it could be a State Department lawyer, it could be a random lawyer he found off the street. If it's not just a public defender. So like that could be something else. Do you know what I mean? You can also have a lawyer represent a client while the client's not there, which is very important for this story for no reason, but your client doesn't actually have to be there. You can go to the courtroom and go through the entire rigmarole because you have power of attorney. So if your client for some reason was somewhere else, you as the lawyer can go through everything up to the point of arguing for and receiving your client's $100,000 bond because your client is indisposed, but the court has accepted that because of some extenuating circumstance. So if nobody observed this courtroom, all of that's literally true, but maybe the guy wasn't there at all. Do you know what I mean? Why kind of like knowing who the lawyer was would be kind of a big deal? Still no one's saying the guy's name? I don't know. What? This is a dude. Allegedly, the Bureau is hungry for intelligence on Hunter Biden, but when his sources fingered Rudy Giuliani, he was shut down.
I didn't want to be a whistleblower. I wanted nothing to do with it. I was at my wit's end. I saw important intelligence reporting being suppressed. I started to experience what I believe to be discrimination, character assassination, really. My name is Jonathan Bouma, and I'm a FBI special agent.
In 2019, Bouma presented to his FBI supervisor separate sets of unverified information on Hunter Biden and Rudy Giuliani.
When I went and presented to the assistant director in charge over at Los Angeles field office, he was very interested in the allegations concerning potentially implicating the Bidens and involved in business deals with BURISMA, a company that was involved in alleged criminal activity. He's very interested, and he was adamant about packaging that information up and transferring that to the appropriate case agent right away. But during the same meeting, when I attempted to provide information that Rudy Giuliani may have been compromised by individuals suspected of being involved in Russian counterintelligence influence operations, he shut me down and the meeting ended. I came to
and understand, like, that's not like it. Now that he's saying it that way, he could be talking about Rudy Giuliani accepting money or like having like undue influence imparted on him by anybody involved in like the Tenet media scandal. It could be the same thing. It's like the $5 million to Tenet, remember? So like, I don't know. Maybe you're trying to organize like an international conflict to keep everybody distracted while you run the government down and do creepy CIA shit. There's a thing that could happen. He's FBI too. This guy's even fucking the CIA, but he's FBI counter intel. That's strange. United States Senate Committee on the what in the fuck?
That Giuliani had received $300,000 from Pavlo Fuchs, a very powerful businessman who had deep ties with a transnational organized crime syndicate. He was based in Ukraine, and that was deeply concerning to me, especially having heard that Giuliani had been working for the president pro bono. My questions that were going through my head were, who does he really work for? I wasn't trying to, implicate Trump or do anything that would, injure his reputation. This reporting implicates Giuliani. He was the one that was in.
Did the other articles say the opposite? Is that why you guys are? Yeah. So he's saying like Giuliani was implicated.
In ongoing contact with foreign nationals and, political activists that would receive hundreds of thousands of dollars from these sources. And at that time, Joe Biden was not.
Dude, it might be fucking Burisma and Tenet Media are connected to this guy, and this guy got fucking bagged out.
Not yet the Democratic nominee. I said to my co-handling agent, I said to him, why do they keep going back to the Bidens? So what if this is the leading edge of a disinformation campaign to create a theme of derogatory information about the Bidens in anticipation that Biden would be Trump's main political rival? And I started to experience pushback. All of my reporting came under really tight scrutiny, to the point where I went from, getting exceptional performance awards.
The other article said Hunter Biden Burisma stuff. He said Burisma too. Give me just a second. Sweet cheek. Hi, buddy. Hi. I'm gonna give you your treat. You deserve it. Come here. Right here. Checkers. Yeah. Oh, look, right here. Buddy, come on. I'm falling over the thing. Right here. Oh, there it is. Oh, I dropped it, but you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. It's right there. Yeah! You got it. Bud. Thank you, buddy. Oh, hopefully I wasn't fucking absolutely like donked out underneath this fucking screen. Sorry about that. Yeah, so the other article said he was investigating Joe Biden, which I think he was. Like, he was investigating all of them, but like, it seems like the focus on Giuliani. So like, there's a confused narrative going around, but there's also just a fucking raw investigation of what he said, like a raw interview. And so that Marshall Project had the fucking leaks. That Marshall Project thing might have had the links to all the rest of this, and now it doesn't because it was updated this morning. This guy's gonna fucking die. I'm not trying to blow the, I feel very, this is a strange time.
Being told that I was an inconsistent performer and that I had all these administrative, and I don't have a history of that, the 13 years before that.
So how does Giuliani come into this? So they're all connected to the Ukraine war thing. I think it's a whole big deal, but like Giuliani was close to Trump and representing him pro bono, i.e. trying to stay very close to Donald Trump and talking to him and all that sort of stuff all the time. Remember, Giuliani was really in debt, like crazy out of money towards the end and like desperate and losing his fucking mind and all that sort of shit, and then appeared in the Borat movie sequel with touching his dick. Like, having that guy that's that fucking compromised being like 5 inches away from fucking the president of the United States of America and always in his ear is like not great. If Giuliani was connected to stuff like the Tenet media operation to create an ongoing disinformation campaign, not just for the American people, but maybe to Donald Trump himself, literally being able to bypass like fucking like, counter intel briefings and shit and CIA stuff. Well, I don't really think about that. From what I understand on the street type deal, like that could be actually a serious issue. Do you know what I mean? And if it's the FBI trying to look good when he's doing these investigations after in the Biden administration, they're either getting ready for a new Trump admin or maybe not expecting Trump to lose or something, and then putting on pressure on him to do other stuff. Like, this is all very strange. This is all very fucking weird. It's psychotic that nothing's linked to this. The first article in I did not know who this guy was. Now, like Burisma, I'm like, what? Burisma? That's a goddamn Destiny's pissed off about it talking point that I heard him fucking whining about from something else. That's why I know that word. Burisma. Don't talk to me about Burisma again. And now I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, so this is that major scandal deal that I'm not hyper linked into. And the guy that was looking into Giuliani and then also the Bidens next to it got black-bagged. And then this is him talking about it, and there's no indication of any of this stuff in the updated articles. And then that Marshall Project thing that's like, hey, a link for stuff was updated this morning at 5 a.m. and it was updated to be a page that has nothing on it, no links. What in the fuck is going on?
So it got to the point where it's pretty intolerable. So I filed a whistleblower complaint. All FBI agents get annual training concerning the protected federal whistleblower statute, which says that if you see misconduct in management, then you can file a whistleblower complaint with the inspection division. Mm-hmm. The managers involved in your chain of command are prohibited from committing any acts that could be considered reprisal or retaliation. From that point forward, the retaliation actually increased, and I experienced no such protection, and there's never any mention or acknowledgement outside of an automated email response saying we received your information and a letter that said we received your information, but nothing, no interviews, no anything. And an email was sent with a brand new supervisors that specifically prohibited me from doing any more reporting on criminal matters, public corruption matters, or reporting on anyone related to the White House or any current or former associates of Trump. Now I started to experience personal attacks, not only suppression of the reporting. My reporting was corroborated already at that point. So if you can't undercut the reporting, you undercut the person. So that's what I was experiencing at that point. And I was moved to a squad where I couldn't work sources. I was sent to basically the Alaska of LA and it put into a position where it would be physically impossible for me to do any more source reporting. I was never trying to drive the political process in one way or the other. I was only trying to make sure that everybody had all of the information, both sides, so that people could make intelligent decisions about what they want to do, policymakers.
This dude looks like fucking broken. Like sad sack guy in a fucking rumpled suit. This is like dude. This is the guy you end up looking for in a detective game.
Or voters or whatever.
This year, Booma approached Republican Congressman Jim Jordan, who's leading a weaponization subcommittee that claims to be investigating political bias in the FBI.
What Chairman Jordan's investigation is alleging is that the FBI as a whole is an arm of the anti-Trump agenda. And this is simply not true. There is this allegation out there that the FBI slow-played the intake of information and their diligent effort to investigate BURISMA and the Bidens. What I saw going on with some of these hearings was they weren't getting the full story. And I wrote up a statement, went to his office, and I told him, well, quite honestly, guys, here's what happened. I think the management cared a lot about it, and they wanted a special briefing about it. What needs to be said here is, I later started reporting on Giuliani, and I really started to experience some suppression. And at that point, they shut me down, and they said, no, we're only interested in things related specifically to Biden.
Bro. Okay, so no, there's no news on what, no articles were taken down that I've seen. Not to say that there weren't. I also did not see a lot of links to him. There's like one outstanding one from like right-wing newspapers that actually covered it, which seemed to have been untouched. But I was just looking at it, and like the first article was an AP article that didn't have almost any information in it at all. It didn't say fuck all. And it was like weirdly empty, and it didn't even have a byline on it. Then there's a Reuters one and an ABC one. The ABC one had been edited or updated by hand and actually had like 2 periods at the end of a sentence. Like somebody had quickly rewrote the end of the sentence or deleted something else and just not highlighted the period on one. And we went, what the fuck is that? And then we went to a Reuters article, and I'm going to link them all in the episode description right now, as a matter of fact. I should probably just do that right now, right? Let me make sure all of this stuff is here. Deccan Herald. Yeah, one of the Deccan Herald. I don't even know what the fuck that is. That one's one. Let me make sure all these are BURISMA Ukraine conspiracy theory. What in the dude? This is how you get shot in a bad movie. What in the absolute fuck is this bullshit? I'm shocked right now. I'm like baffled. It just has to be hopefully like computer malfunctions that are being weird as shit, and like everything's gonna get updated, and Tyler's gonna be like, Tyler, you're crazy. You're such a magoober. You're the biggest, stupidest boy. And then I'll say, that's fine. That's fine. I don't mind being the biggest, stupidest boy for saying stupid shit. That's okay. Because the other one is like, are people doing like the world's stupidest, most obvious fucking cover up I've ever seen in my fucking life? Live in front of me? Save. Okay, so those are in the episode description. If you want to look at them, go for it. Check them out. I will. They're there. I'm gonna watch.
I don't think it's a legitimate investigation.
The spokesperson for Jordan denied Booma's allegations that the committee was cherry picking witnesses. They said it would never tell a whistleblower they weren't interested in their story. I mean, that's Jim Jordan. Like, literally they would, because Jim Jordan's the guy that covered up the fucking sex assault, right? There's the Jim Jordan, what is Jim Jordan scandal? Holy fuck, of all people, Jim Jordan scandal. 6 former wrestlers say Representative Jim Jordan knew about abusive practices while he was working at OSU between 1987 and 1995. So not only would they, like Jim Jordan would probably like require staffers as the kind of person he is to be the kind of people that would legitimately ignore a whistleblower of all fucking Congress. I mean, ignoring whistleblowers would probably be a Jim Jordan thing to do.
The reason why I came forward is, number one, I don't want any other FBI agent to ever have to go through what I've gone.
Why not? CNN host gets testy as Jim Jordan ducks question on impeaching judge. FBI hands over Biden-era weaponization scandal documents to Jim Jordan. Just the news 2 days ago. What the fuck is just the news? For years, FBI under Christopher Wray stonewalled congressional Republican efforts seeking answers on the weaponization of the Bureau. Now FBI under Kash Patel is finally handing over some answers. The FBI has handed over to Congress key documents related to the Biden-era weaponization scandals at the Justice Department following subpoena from House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan. This is from fucking March 18th. This is the day before the guy got fucking wrapped up. Okay. All right. So yeah, Jerry Dunleavy. Okay. FBI Director, Assistant Director Marshall Yates sent a letter to Jordan on Friday vowing that under Director Kash Patel's leadership, the FBI is dedicated to working with Congress towards transparency. According to a copy of the letter obtained by Just the News, with the FBI official providing the House with Internal Bureau records tied to former Attorney General Merrick Garland's divisive school board memorandum aimed at protesting parents. So the guy that he tried to talk to as a whistleblower that ignored him in the story we're listening to right now just got 2 days ago. Whistleblower complained the weaponization documents handed over to him by Kash Patel, and the next day, fucking our guy gets wrapped up at an international airport in fucking New York City. This is not a coincidence at all. This is no. This is normal. This is There's no conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. This is normal. Everything normal is happening. This is the most normal thing you've ever seen in your life. This is day-to-day operations. This is normal. Okay, like, do you understand what my fucking, like, my Pepe Sylvia is not a real person. The records also include the Richmond, Virginia FBI field office's since retracted memo targeting Catholics and the Bureau's controversial investigations enforcing the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances, FACE Act. Jordan, who has long sought answers on the weaponization of federal law enforcement against the American people under former President Joe Biden, filed a subpoena with Patel's FBI late February, arguing that the Bureau refused any real transparency or accountability for its actions during a former Director Christopher Wray's tenure, and arguing that Wray had ignored several subpoenas Jordan had issued. The Ohio Republican argued that Patel last month, it is important that he succeed in restoring public confidence. Do you see how much more fucking information we have than the one where the guy just gets, like, arrested and then no one's names or, like, documents are shared, and then all of a sudden, like, you see all the links and stuff? Do you know, like, it's a little bit of a different vibe? And I was like, that's kind of weird. Yeah, do you understand, like, why kind of weird feels kind of weird? And then we looked into it a little bit harder, and then all of a sudden all the same names just come up. What the fuck? The new documents the FBI handed over may be a step in that direction. We're thankful for Director Patel's work, and we'll just have more updates soon, Jordan's spokesman told Just the News. The FBI said in its new letter that in response to Jordan's subpoena related to Garland's school board memorandum, additional documents from the Bureau were being handed over, including the FBI summaries of the outstanding EDU officials tagged guardians not previously provided to Congress due to their then ongoing investigative status or classification. The FBI said that one of the additional now closed guardians is classified and will arrange delivery of this information with committee staff at their convenience, but that we have confirmed that there are no additional guardians that have received the EDU officials threat tag since the FBI's prior productions to the committee in August 2022. That would have been right around the time where dude was getting, like, fucked with, and eventually it was 2023 was the first time he was arrested. Or investigated. Jordan's late February letter to Patel said that he still has unanswered questions about how the FBI quickly operationalized Garland's October 2021 memo that had directed the Biden-era Justice Department FBI to investigate alleged threats posed by outspoken parents. Jordan had also remaining concerns about whether the FBI objected to civil liberty infringements inherent in the Attorney General's memorandum. Revealed whistleblower evidence in November 2021, that indicated that FBI counterterrorism assets were involved in the investigation of parents protesting school policies. He released an unclassified internal FBI email at the same time, showing the Bureau's counterterrorism chief sent instructions to FBI officials to use a threat tag to track any complaints involving parents and school officials. January Attorney General Pam Bondi used little noticed footnote to rescind Garland's memo. In last Friday's letter, the FBI said that it handed over a further response to the subpoena regarding the Richmond field office's domain perspective. Letter to the FBI in late February that the Bureau had refused for 2 years to provide adequate answers to the FBI's Richmond field office January 2023 memo, which linked racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists with a radical traditionalist Catholic ideology. Okay, so we're getting some Tradcath bombers sometime soon. The Republican chairman argued that the Richmond memorandum resulted in federal law enforcement agents being inserted in places of worship. Well, that's actually still kind of an overstep. Jordan said the FBI under Wray failed to produce information regarding open sources, FBI case files, and liaison and local law enforcement reporting used to create the Richmond memorandum, all of which were responsive to the committee's subpoena. FBI intelligence produced product released in January 2023 by the Bureau's field office in Richmond contended the links between this, and let me see if I can get some more stuff. February 2023, office, say left-wing poverty law center, including article on radical traditional Catholicism, how extremist gun culture is trying to co-opt the rosary, Salon, traditional Catholics and white nationalist gripers forge a new far-right youth movement, white nationalists get religion. Huh. DOJ Inspector Horowitz, 2024, that the FBI's inspection division concluded there's no evidence of malicious intent or improper purpose behind the local field office memo, but did note significant problems with it, including that it failed to adhere to analytic tradecraft standards and evinced errors in professional judgment, including that it lacks sufficient evidence or articulable support for a relationship between RMVEs, so-called RTC. Okay. FACE Act. Pregnancy resources. Okay, so this is like a we're trying to use the FBI. We're trying to where the FBI investigated like Christian violence against non-Christians or Catholic violence against non-Catholics. If they double checked it, if they overstepped, they're going to get them. Pro-abortion rights, pro-life activists, pipe bombs, mandate to open the books, engage in transparency efforts at levels never before seen, and our congressional affairs team is stepping up to the plate. FBI spokesperson Ben Williamson told Just the News. We'll continue to work diligently with these guys. Sure, they're good. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced the creation of a weaponization working group in January with the goal of determining whether any actions by the DOJ or FBI appeared to have been designed to achieve political objectives or other improper aims other than pursuing justice or legitimate governmental objectives. Bondi's new group is tasked with, among other things, specifically investigating the school board's memo scandal, the withdrawn anti-Catholic memo, and the FACE Act saga. So this guy's probably fucking stuck in it. It was one of the stuff that, it's not one of Jordan's things that he's interested in, but this guy came forward to Jordan, and now that they're doing their weaponization stuff, if the weaponization people are looking into people and they want some heads, they might throw this guy under the bus at the top, or they might, I don't know, who knows, and vanish him because this guy was a liability to Trump talking. And then he was going to put together a book talking about all of this stuff, which might embarrass Jim Jordan, because if Jim Jordan has this guy running around saying, I tried to give you whistleblower information on the weaponization of the FBI, but you turned it down because it wasn't politically expedient, then it might be a good time for Mr. Booma to vanish. Because he said, I'm going to give you all this stuff. Why don't you want to pay attention? Specifically, this guy, Jim Jordan, running this committee right now, which is a major desire for the especially white nationalist and Christian extremist subsections of the Trump government. Hey, why didn't you look when I said about the whistleblower stuff? And now that guy got black bagged.
Through and having their right of protection under the statute completely, blatantly violated.
What the fuck?
Number two, I want to restore the integrity of the FBI so that people have trust and faith in it. Because if it's gone, public corruption will become rampant, and things will go to hell in a handbasket in this country real fast, faster than people think. If the very agency that's charged with holding our public officials and the most powerful people in the world accountable can't hold its own self accountable and becomes corrupt itself, then...
The thing that really kills me is there's pictures of this guy that are available. I mean, you can screen cap this and run it in a story. I mean, it might not be the best, but like nobody's using that. This is the first time we saw a picture of this guy, and it's from years ago.
This country, things can get bad real fast. You know, it could be the beginnings of a fascist state. If they want to figuratively slaughter me by firing me, they can do that. But I have no intention of leaving. I'm going to show up for work. I'm going to continue to show up for work in hope of getting a good paycheck like any other American really wants.
Giuliani and Trump did not respond to requests for comment. A spokesperson for Fox said that Fox had hired Giuliani's security firm as a consultant, but never paid Giuliani $300,000. The FBI declined to comment on Booma's allegations. Bro. Old Bubba Big Panties, king of Cell Block B, just got him a new girlfriend. He won't make it a year. What in the fuck is going on in this comment section? Reality denying left-wing nutbaggery dripping off these guys. All these people know about this stuff. What in the fuck? Dude, and it's all this kind of like this gibberish shit. Who's here in March 2025? All in one thing. After this guy was arrested, the guy's a lying traitor. Bro, there's fucking Russians in this goddamn comment section. Bro. Dude, look at these fucking names. Richard Volbrecht, 2935. David Dorger, 9207. Deep State, 8474. Bro, dude, there's fucking bot comments. Secession Now, 4133. Mr. Mac Endeavor, 7807. These fucking goddamn types. He belong in Gitmo. He is a traitor. Oh my god. Crusade Electronics, 2444. Dude, it's fucking Ultrabots. Oh my fucking god. It's the last video that's up. Everything else has been fucking shot. Holy fuck. Holy shit. Bro, there is some fucking bonkers stuff. Bonkers stuff going on here. This is kind of crazy. Say what now? He didn't even present anything. He just said he's a lying traitor. He said fucking Giuliani got paid by somebody, and everybody knows Giuliani's crooked as fuck. That's like the least like crazy thing to say. I don't even think he said like Trump is bad. I think he just said Giuliani seems like he's too close to Trump and is probably compromised. And that seems to have struck a chord with somebody. And my man got fucking disappeared. He got disappeared. Holy fuck. Oh, man. Dude. Somebody said that fuck it. I think only Hassan would cover this. Send this to Hassan, I guess. Send it to... they can be mad at me for saying what I say about the guy all they want, but I think he might be the only person that would cover this. Wow. Wow. How about we didn't know anything about it? We didn't know anything about it yet, right? Because I was just hearing about this for the first time today. And that comment section 8 hours ago, which is right after that one thing would have been taken down, is like packed full of bog standard 4 number digit at the end fucking bot comments. Like, clearly foreigners. I'm glad he's arrested. What the fuck? That was a trip. I'll try to put a video out on this, I guess, before they fucking put one in the back of my fucking spine. I don't know. Send this to Flesh Simulator, I guess. Like, probably, like, literally. I know I make that joke, but I feel like somebody that's a bit more conspiracy brained needs to talk about this to people that are also as conspiracy brained as I am, because this was weird, right? That was weird.